The Freedom of the Soul, Part 2. Then came the philosophers. The work of the Upanishads seemed to have ended at this point. The next was taken up by the philosophers. The framework was given them by the Upanishads and they had to fill in the details. So many questions would naturally arise. Taking for granted that there is one impersonal principle which is manifesting itself in all of these manifold forms, how is it that one become many? Is it another way of putting the same old question which in its crude form comes into the human heart as the inquiry into the cause of evil and so forth? Why does evil exist in the world and what is its cause? But the same question has now become refined, abstracted. No more is it asked from the platform of the senses why we are unhappy, but from the platform of philosophy. How is it that this one principle becomes manifolds? And the answer, as we have seen, is the best answer that India has produced is the theory of Maya, which says that it really has not become manifolds, that it really has not lost any of its real nature. Manifoldness is only apparent. Man is only apparently a person, but in reality, he is the impersonal being. God is a person only apparently, but really, he is the impersonal being. Even in this answer, there have been succeeding stages, and philosophers have varied in their opinions. All Indian philosophers did not admit this theory of Maya. Possibly most of them did not. They are dualists, with a crude sort of dualism, who would not allow the question to be asked but stifled it at its very birth. They said, "You have no right to ask such a question. You have no right to ask for an explanation. It is simply the will of God, and we have to submit to it quietly. There is no liberty for the human soul. Everything is predestined. What we shall do, have, enjoy, and suffer, and when suffering comes, it is our duty to endure it patiently. If we do not, we shall be punished all the more." How do we know that? Because the Vedas say so. And thus they have their texts and their meanings and they want to enforce them. There are others who, though not admitting the Maya theory, stand midway. They say that the whole of this creation forms, as it were, the body of God. God is the soul of all souls and of the whole of nature. In the case of individual souls, contractions come from evil doing. When a man does anything evil, his soul begins to contract and his power is diminished and goes on decreasing until he does good work, when it expands again. One idea seems to be common in all the Indian systems, and I think in every system in the world, whether they do know it or not, and that is what I shall call the divinity of man. There is no one system in the world, no real religion, which does not hold the idea that the human soul, whatever it be or whatever its relation to God, is essentially pure and perfect, whether expressed in the language of mythology, allegory, or philosophy. Its real nature is blessedness and power, not weakness and misery. Somehow or other, this misery has come. The crude systems may call it a personified evil, a devil, or an Ahiriman to explain how this misery came. Other systems may try to make a god and a devil in one, who makes some people miserable and others happy without any reason whatsoever. Others, again more thoughtful, bring in the theory of Maya and so forth. But one fact stands out clearly, and it is with this that we have to deal. After all, these philosophical ideas and systems are but gymnastics of the mind, intellectual exercises. The one great idea that to me seems to be clear and comes out through masses of superstitions in every country and in every religion is the one luminous idea that man is divine, that divinity is in our nature. Whatever else comes is a mere superimposition, as the Vedanta calls it. Something has been superimposed, but that divine nature never dies. In the most degraded as well as in the most saintly, it is ever present. It has to be called out and it will work out itself. We have to ask and it will manifest itself. The people of old knew that fire lived in the flint and in the dry wood, but friction was necessary to call it out. So, this fire of freedom and purity is the nature of every soul and not the quality, because qualities can be acquired and therefore can be lost. The soul is one with freedom, and the soul is one with existence, and the soul is one with knowledge. The Satchitananda, existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, is the nature and birthright of the soul. And all the manifestations that we see are its expressions dimly or brightly manifesting itself. Even death is but a manifestation of the real existence. Birth and death, life and decay, degeneration and regeneration are all manifestations of that oneness. So, knowledge, however it manifests itself, either as ignorance or as learning, is but the manifestation of that same Chit, the essence of knowledge. The difference is only in degree and not in kind. The difference in knowledge between the lowest worm that crawls under our feet and the highest genius that is the world that may produce is only one of degree and not of kind. The Vedantin thinker boldly says that the enjoyments in this life, even the most degraded joys, are but manifestations of that one divine bliss, the essence of the soul.